Another edition of Riding Home, Dean Legge, Ryan Curley. The biggest thing coming out of Tuesday, Ryan, a couple of different things, and we're just going to talk about all of them at once, I guess. First of all, it looks like Arian Smith is a little closer than A.D. Mitchell to coming back. There's also, I don't know how much you've been watching this, but there's this wiggling hurricane coming up, which could affect the Dogs in theory. I do not think it will affect Georgia, but you can talk about that in a second. Um, I don't know what else. What else do you make of today so far,
Yeah, that was the shortest uh, Kirby that we've
Kirby?
had in a very long time. I think it was less
Yeah.
than 10 minutes by a couple seconds.
Oh,
Um,
no one had questions tonight. Nice.
oh man,
It's such theater. It's such theater when Ryan gets going in the car. That's my favorite part.
it's just, is it worth getting like a fancy mount? This was working. All right.
Well, I got mine right this week. Hey, listen, while we're talking, just for
Yeah.
a second, make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION while Ryan gets his stuff together. You'll see all of our photos. What's going to happen, y'all, is you're going to want this book for Christmas for your family members. Get it now. The link is down below. I have them now. Don't wait until Christmas to get it. Now, I know it's ridiculous to start talking about the holidays in September. I know how quick the books go, and I can't always be certain that they will be in stock. Anyway, a very short Kirby tonight. Well, I was just trying to cover for you there, Ryan, while you get yourself kind of
Yeah.
squared
No,
away.
no. Good save. I'm
I
gonna
know,
have
I
to.
know, I know. Leaving butts is not always the easiest thing, actually, to kind
I'm,
of get out of there.
yeah, the whole thing. And I parked across the street, but and now
Oh,
there's all traffic. Yeah, he was in his post practice like I don't want to talk to you mood, which was whatever, but not a big deal. But he talked a little bit more about Kent State than Missouri, really.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Talking about how I'm sorry. Talking about
yeah,
how it's really, and I wrote about this Monday, and this is important. If you're not going over to the site, you're really missing out. I mean, all of these are not premium articles, but he basically said, and I heard this from another person in Georgia yesterday. They said, I hear people calling on the radio and complaining, and their point was we won by 17, and Kirby
yeah,
tonight was talking about how it's hard to say you don't playing well when you don't punt. He's right, and then he also talked about red zone offense.
yeah. I mean, and we even touched base on it a little bit right after the game when we did our initial, when we did the riding home, going back over 500 yards of total offense. It was the ugliest good win you could probably see. I mean, they beat a solid football team, a team that's probably better than some of the other teams they'll play, by 17, while still having a lot of mistakes that swung the scoreboard in the wrong direction. I mean, I mean, like you used your words the other day, where it looks like every play matters. Well, it did against Kent State, and it will in other games.
No
But yeah, I
question.
was interested to hear him talk a little bit. At this point, I thought it would have been all Missouri. There was very little Missouri talk today. Yeah, the weather, they think that they'll be fine at the moment. Their normal plans to fly directly Athens to Columbia
Correct.
are those are good for now. They might have to go to Atlanta if things change, which is not. I don't think that's the end of the world. It just adds a couple hours to their lives. But um, you know this it's a business trip, right? I think
Totally.
they're in mid form.
Not
Kirby's in
just not just for the players on the team, by the way.
yeah, for us, for everybody. Uh, but yeah, no, I think if A.D. Mitchell, man, I would sit him another week or two. I don't know the details of where he's at, but they're winning games without him. They're not playing great teams in this little stretch of football right now. So I think that you can afford to sit him another week or two and just let him get right, man. Those ankles can suck. You play basketball, you know about the ankles. It's they can be a little choppy, but I would let him sit. Lad McConkey will not have a game that poor
No.
again. He can be your number one receiver. They have plenty of guys. I did think it was interesting that Arian Smith is closer to traveling than A.D. Mitchell. I don't think either of them will play.
That is interesting to me too.
AD was in sweatpants and his jersey with no pads on Saturday. That was his
Right.
fit. He was
His
walking
fit.
around fine. I don't know what it looks like when he's running around. Maybe that's why we don't get to see practice this week. But so I don't know what it looks like when he's running around. And another name that that was talked about yesterday too, that I think similar deal with AD Mitchell, where it's kind of a minor injury but it's annoying with Jalen Carter. Is he a guy you maybe just sit? I mean, you should blow out Missouri. Should.
Yes.
So MJ Sherman
My yes was to blow out Missouri. Not my yes was not necessarily the Jalen Carter thing. I think if you're Georgia and you can play Jalen Carter, I mean, these guys can't not play.
Yeah.
You need to get into a rhythm and say what you want about Missouri. I mean, Georgia's clearly the better team. They're better than Auburn. They're better than Vanderbilt. They're better than the Gators. But you need to play. I mean,
Yeah, but you also want them to be as healthy as possible.
yes,
So that's what you're watching. Those decisions are what they're dealing with. That's why you saw AD Mitchell not play. That's why you saw Jalen Carter. I think it was like 2 or 3 snaps, if at all. I can't remember exactly how much he played, but it was almost zero. Tonight the most interesting thing was actually MJ Sherman's interview. I don't know how much you know about.
I love MJ Sherman.
I
I mean,
mean, that was the best player interview that I think I've ever been a part of.
He's awesome.
Ability, really just went in on his family, his roots. His father is a senator.
Correct.
And I'm blanking on the name of the country, but a country in West Africa, Liberia.
Yes.
And his mother is back in Maryland. So
his mother. So I went up there to spend some time with them in 2000.
He was a 2020.
Whatever the year was before he picked Georgia, or whatever year it was that he did pick Georgia, I should say. He was that family is an exceptional family. I mean, they're definitely. I can't say enough about his mother, the courage that she's got. There's a lot in that story that is amazing. But what did you learn tonight about MJ that you didn't already know?
Well, I didn't know his background.
Right.
So that was, it was really interesting to me. I think it's almost like, the way that the players, they talk about those goal sessions, they talk about writing their goals down, connectivity, being just one giant unit. It was interesting because I almost felt like I got a little part of that by listening to someone's background that I didn't really know much about at all. And so you can see how that is a really effective method for them, how you can feel connected to somebody. I actually have a class with MJ. We have to do all these videos and stuff. So I see his stuff. But
I'm not just saying this. He because I went up to DC, but he genuinely is an exceptional. The family story is an exceptional story, and I hope we've not seen the best of MJ yet. It doesn't seem like we have, and we're just going to have to see how it progresses and how it goes. But I mean, his mother is a rock. I'll tell you that right now. Period. His mother is a rock.
Yeah, he talked about all that a little bit. And then we had Podlesny. The media went a little too far with the nicknames for my taste. Everybody had a new nickname for Jack Podlesny tonight.
Okay.
So a little too far for me. But he's important too, man. And it was interesting. An interesting question asked his way that I thought was a really good question was, Kirby's talking about, oh, we're kicking too many field goals and all. Well, how does that make you feel? And he said, I think any coach probably feels that way. He doesn't care about it. He's there to do his job. And he's done really well this year, and he's hit some big kicks in his career.
Yeah, he has.
Full kick in 2020. you're kicking field goals in a college football playoff and in the national championship. So he's been around for big moments, and he followed the footsteps of someone that was a fan favorite in Athens, that was, kind of legendary in Athens. People loved Hot Rod, and then you got Hot Pot or whatever nickname you
Yeah,
choose
but
to.
Jack might be a better kicker. I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know. I'd have to really say that again.
I think he's more consistent.
He's more consistent, it seems.
I don't
And
know if he has as big of a leg.
no, but it goes back to the Mark Richt discussion I had with him leading into the 21 season. The number one thing that you want in a quarterback is accuracy. I can assure you, the number one thing you want in a kicker is accuracy,
Oh
because
yeah,
I mean, accuracy and mental toughness, which are probably the same thing.
yeah. He said on Saturday, Pod thought that he actually wasn't kicking to his standards. That even though he was making his kicks, that those were what he would consider his B level kicks. And he said your B level kicks have to be really, really good too,
Yeah,
because when you're having a day like that. And so he said he thought all of his kicks were kind of his B level kicks. They weren't to his standard. I thought that was interesting to hear. So if that was a not great day for him, then there are better days ahead for him if you need him in a huge moment, which you may need it. I mean, Georgia's schedule is no joke. They're going to play some tough teams later on. You never know what situation you might get into where you need him to hit a game winner or something like that.
well, listen. Let's talk about him just for a second here. All right, now this is going off memory. I'm not looking at everything.
Okay.
I probably should go, and I probably will right now go and look as I go here. But when you talk about Jack Podlesny, the kicks he's made, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just the Arkansas game at the at
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those were some pretty big kicks. We've really trimmed our hair up over time too, which I think is extremely important. If you're Jack Podlesny, but the the okay, so he was 22 of 27 last year. He did not miss in the national championship game. He hit every kick against Arkansas. He missed a kick against Clemson. Now that was not costly, as it turns out, but I guess it could have been in theory. Um, against against obviously Cincinnati, that game winner. I don't know if you can have a bigger kick than, I mean, what Rodrigo did against. I love how you're going through downtown. That is so hilarious. What
I'm
Rodrigo.
hungry, man.
Well, some of those
Hey,
restaurants we
speaking of
prefer.
downtown, we will be at one of these
We
places.
prefer Paloma Park because we will be there Friday at 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock before the Auburn game, and it has really the chicken tacos. I'm telling you, they're very good. Although the pretzel with the beer cheese was quite good. What did you eat the other day?
I had the Wagyu sliders.
How were those?
They were good. I liked
They're
them
not as
better.
good as the chicken tacos, man. Oh, you had one of my
No,
chicken
well, I
tacos
had
too.
the chicken tacos, and man, those were pretty good. But we'll
Yeah,
be there October 7th from 4 to 7. Obviously, we're gonna stream that, but
that's the
uh,
Friday before the Auburn game. Back to Jack Podlesny.
yeah,
Um, he had three kicks against Tennessee, a 47-yarder and 51-yarder in 2000. Look, the guy, I think he had a 50-yarder against Alabama in 2020. He's a really good kicker. He is a consistent kicker. The miss against Clemson, that shouldn't have happened. Okay, that was a short kick as I recall. But who's better? I don't know. But I mean, Jack is a really good kicker, and he's going to get his look in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be a kicker. I mean, NFL, not for long. If you're not making kicks, they're going to cut you. And you got to make everyone like 20 of 20, 22 of 27. In the NFL, that might not cut it, Ryan. I don't know. That might not cut it,
well,
but
we just saw Rodrigo Blankenship get cut a couple
get
weeks
cut.
ago by the NFL because that's it's a harsher world in the NFL than it is in college football. Your margin for
There
error.
are only 32 kickers in the league. That's it. There's 32 and like 5 guys that hang around for when they get cut. So you got the same thing for the punters. And well, anyway, I listen. That guy has played really well his time at Georgia, and he started his time at Georgia started in 18, uh, and he had a lot of hair, like a lot of hair, and
I
he's
don't
kind
I
of
don't remember. I wasn't even
he's
at Georgia.
he's scaled it back, the hair, which was really necessary. Oh, there you are. Yes, our friends at Red Zone. Look at this is awesome. They just closed, but
It's 7, I
they
think.
just closed. They close at 6. I believe they close at 6 o'clock, but that's okay.
I don't know,
Look, the big thing about that Georgia just and Kirby talked about this tonight. Georgia just needs to score a couple more. They need to be a little bit more precise in the red zone. You're precise in the red zone, you don't have a lot of problems.
Yeah, he's right, and if they're scoring more touchdowns and you're taking some of these field goals away, they're beating people by even worse. And Kent State's an example of that. A couple times, the beginning of the Samford game is an example of that, where they
Yes.
kicked 2 field goals to start the game, but those are 2 touchdowns.
Right.
A lot of us are viewing the Samford game
Well, like
completely.
is Kirby feeling this, or is he sort of saying, "Hey, or is he like is he listening to fans or report?" I'm like, I remember trying to remember after the game. I can't remember if everybody was kind of grumpy about it or the performance or not. I don't remember. Can you?
He doesn't.
Oh,
He
you
doesn't
weren't
care.
down there. You weren't down there. I know he doesn't care. I'm just saying,
On
what's he
this
responding?
past Saturday,
What's he responding to? Is it us asking, or is it like fan grumpiness? I can't remember.
do you think he looks at that? I mean,
Oh yes, I think that they read it. If they didn't, they wouldn't reference it, and they can act like they don't read stuff. He
he
doesn't read
definitely.
it. He doesn't read everything
Oh,
we write. No way.
he
He doesn't
probably
have time.
though.
No, he doesn't. But he probably there are things here and there. If you're a program with the budget that Georgia's got, 40-ish million dollars for football, just ballpark could be 120. I don't know. And you don't have someone who consumes every piece of data out there. There's something wrong with your program. And I mean, Mark Richt's group, I'm pretty certain had a designated reader or readers. So folks read it, and it's okay. I mean, naturally. Um, it doesn't matter what we write, but I'm sure that they can feel that people are saying, "Hey, why aren't they playing better?" And they played better, dude, against Kent State than they did Samford. They just didn't have the 3 turnovers, and that matters a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the program and especially the players are aware of what is said about them,
Yeah,
what's going on, what the noise is. I mean, you can't keep them off their phones.
of course not.
Kirby himself is probably not really looking at a lot of that stuff, but he hears it by word of mouth, and
Sure.
you never know when one of the players maybe slips up and says something that he probably didn't enjoy. Cool, there's time on that meter. And so then I went back because I forgot. And so, but I mean, listen, they're 4 games in.
Yes.
They're clearly contenders again.
Right.
I think that they're probably the best team at the moment. I would put Ohio State 2 and Bama 3,
Okay.
with little gaps between, not very big
The
gaps.
the Georgia
And
Bulldogs are still favored to win the national championship, over Alabama and over Ohio State. Clemson, I think, has inched up a little bit. I, USC, I think USC, Ohio State, and Alabama are the teams that Georgia, if they kind of really want to get concerned about things, those are teams I'd be worried about because typically those teams can score. Um, I
I
don't
do,
know if that.
yeah, I agree.
I don't know if SC is going to be able to run around the way that you ideally like to, But against Mizzou, and we're going to talk about this riding home with Matt. Against Mizzou,
Not gonna join us.
he will join us when he gets back into the country, um, Thursday morning. But against Missouri, It's irrelevant that they're playing at Middle Earth. It's irrelevant that they're playing Missouri. You just want to see how they play. They could score fewer points, man, and it might look better. I mean, I don't know. Missouri's got their own issues. Um, there's got to be pressure on that coach out there to win and win now. They've just not looked great, Missouri, at the beginning of their season. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a completely different environment than they've experienced this season so far. You're going, like you said, Middle Earth. It's going to be colder than they're used to. I mean, I think it could get into the 50s during that game. This is a night kick. It's going to be a dark kick and everything like that. So different atmosphere. They talked about how it's a night game. It's not a noon game. They're not. They've got all day to think about it. They've got all day to prepare. It's not just wake up, eat, play football.
Yeah,
It's different. You're traveling with less people. There's less family. You're doing it. Ultimately, I think there are less distractions on
there are.
some of these road games. So they handled the first one pretty well, and
Yes,
I
they
think
did.
they're probably going to handle this one similarly. But 4 games in, I think you got to feel pretty good that the Georgia Bulldogs playing poorly was a 33-0 win over Samford and a 39-22 win over Kent
All
State.
right, I'm gonna leave you with this, and we're gonna pick this up. And if I forget, you tell me. And I want everybody that's watching to tell me what you think. Georgia's played 16 quarters of football, Ryan. What is the worst quarter they've played? What is the worst quarter they've played? We'll pick up with this.
Do
I'm
you mean
writing
point wise or just quarter they
just
played?
as a quarter. Which is the worst quarter they've played? Okay, think about that. We'll see you on the next riding home. Thanks for watching.